Welsh rugby is still in turmoil, and we have ahead of us maybe the most consequential 24 hours, certainly in the professional era, maybe ever in domestic Welsh rugby. What is going on? What's the outlook? And why might it not be such a bad thing for Wales? I'm going to cover off all of that in this video. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. If I haven't already, I hope this is the video where I'm going to earn your subscription. I'd really appreciate it. Please do leave your comments as well. And what exactly has happened then since the last video on this topic? And I've done a couple recently. Well, Warren Gatland was due to announce his team this lunchtime, Tuesday, as I record this. He has delayed that until the last possible moment on Thursday because there's still a very real possibility of a strike of the players. The WRU, the Welsh regions and the players are all still at loggerheads and cannot agree on a path forward for this 6-year funding deal for the regions and with the WRU as well. So the state of play at the moment is, as I say, Warren Gatland's forced to postpone the announcement. He says, quote, he wishes he would have known these issues before taking the job as head coach. I mean, that's not the sort of noise that you want to hear from your head coach in a World Cup year, is it? The suggestion, although Warren Gatland didn't say this, but the suggestion that he might not have taken the job if he'd known all this was going to happen. He said he couldn't guarantee that the game on Saturday against England was going to go ahead, but he was very hopeful. He said, I think players were given assurances on a number of occasions that this would be sorted out. Well, clearly it hasn't been sorted out. Other videos I've got in this feed will explain exactly what's going on, but effectively the players are saying they want the 60 cap rule scrapped. They want the performance-related pay chunk of their deal going forward scrapped, and they want the Wales Rugby Players Association to be sat in on negotiations. Currently, only one of those things has been met. They've said, yes, you can have a seat at the table during negotiations. There is talk, although it hasn't been confirmed, that the 60 cap rule will be either gone or reduced to a lower number. Maybe 30 caps, for example, has been suggested. But officially, only one of the demands has been met. The players meet the Professional Rugby Board tomorrow, and here's the big development. It's not just the Wales Rugby Union players that are meeting the Professional Rugby Board tomorrow. All professional rugby players in Wales have been invited to this meeting. So everyone from Scarlets and from Ospreys and from Cardiff and from the Dragons, everybody has been invited. So the threat is that not only might the international players strike, but the Welsh regions players might also strike. So there may be cancelled URC games in the future. There may be potentially still, as I record this, the threat of Cardiff being cancelled. It's an absolute mess. And it seems like, well, Warren Gatland said in the press conference, I'm hearing positive things from both sides in terms of a compromise. So I think potentially there's a path forward which will involve either the 60 cap rule going completely or reduced from 60 caps. This has all been left to the last minute. It's been 18 months they've been trying to get some sort of agreement on this. And that's where we're at. So this time tomorrow we will know more. Hopefully tonight we might even know more. But right now it's all still up in the air, which is mad. And this is in a Six Nations week. And Warren Gatland said that his international players have had half a dozen meetings in the last few days. Now, what it takes to be a high-quality international rugby player, you don't want people going into meetings where they're talking about their potential future, where they might have to then go and have conversations with their wives, girlfriends, family, whatever it is, talk about. But there's all sorts of logistics involved in this, and all you want your players to focus on right now is England at 4:45 p.m. on Saturday and nothing else. And this has got to be a massive disadvantage for Wales in what is already a poor Six Nations campaign. It's just a mess. So hopefully there'll be a path forward. One bit of news since the last video is that Joe Hawkins, promising young centre, he is going to be off next season to Exeter Chiefs. Now, he is one player. If the 60 cap rule is not scrapped entirely, he will not be eligible to play for Wales. So this is the situation the players are in. They've got to safeguard their own future. And Joe Hawkins will have been chatting to Dafydd Jenkins and Chris Chunza in the Welsh camp. Good things about Exeter there he'll have been hearing. And he's like, okay, yeah, I want to develop my game there. And Wales will absolutely get a better Joe Hawkins for going to Exeter Chiefs, I believe. You'll get a great standard of rugby, great coaching. But there you go, the Welsh Regions lost a bright young talent. And I wonder if the timing of this announcement might have been actually strategic to try and twist the arm of the Welsh Rugby Union. Because here you go, one of the few positives from their Six Nations campaign so far is that man. And if they don't scrap the rule, which is what the players want, well, he can't play for Wales. It's just madness. You also wonder what, if it does get scrapped, what Rhys Webb is thinking, because he went off to France and couldn't play for Wales for a few years. And he could have added to whatever he had at the time, 58 caps or something like that. It's just, I've explained on other videos why I think the 60 cap rule should go. But I just want to, following on from Joe Hawkins here, I want to demonstrate why it might not be a bad thing for Wales, and actually why the losers in this situation could well be England. It's Wales v England this weekend. I'm trying to give a little positive spin on things from a Welsh perspective. And also, just if you're an England fan like I am, just give you pause for thought for a second about what's going on in the bigger picture here, because let's just look at this. So if I just get myself out of the way a second, bear with me. There we go. There you go. There's the 11 Gallagher Premiership teams and all the players that play in Joe Hawkins' position inside centre, which I've done videos on this before. It's a big problem area for England. There's all the talk about Tuolangi. Ollie Lawrence usually plays outside centre. He's done really well, obviously, against Italy, and you imagine he'll be playing inside centre against Wales again at the weekend. But there's only, look at that list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Englishmen out of the 11 teams. 5 Englishmen regularly start in the 12 shirt for their club. If everybody was fit and first choice, and based on, I looked at the fixtures in the Champions Cup or Challenge Cup or the big Premiership games, and these are the names that seem to be the most often picked at 12. And you've got, Scotland, Ireland, South Africa twice, Argentina and Wales represented, England 5. And this is a problem position for England. And actually, when you look at other players at the clubs where, in the case of Bath, where Cam Redpath, a Scottish international, seems to be the first choice 12, Max Ajomo is an English option that doesn't get as much game time as a result. At Exeter, Tom Hendrickson must maybe about 24, 25 now, but he seems to have been quite a promising inside centre. At Harlequins, they've got Andre Esterhazen. Lennox Yanwu usually plays there in his stead, sometimes Luke Northmore as well. And Alex Lazowski, I mean, he does play 13 a little bit. He's not strictly speaking a 12, but he's an Englishman who, if Nick Tompkins wasn't there, might be playing for his club. So there's 4 more, which would take it to 9 straight away. And you suddenly see how that has an impact on the English national team. And I thought, just to dovetail this, okay, so my point being, let's imagine that you've got Rory O'Loughlin, the Irishman. Actually, Joe Hawkins is going to be there for Exeter Chiefs next season. That would mean out of the Gallagher Premiership, 2 teams are playing Welsh international players. And actually, international players for England, you've got Manu Tuolangi, Fraser Dingwall has got a cap, Mark Atkinson has got a cap. The rest have not. So you would have 3 England internationals. Oh, Dan Kelly as well, sorry, I beg your pardon. 4 England internationals and 2 Welsh internationals. Which, well, that's the English league paying for 2 top-class Welsh international players. And let me just get you thinking about this by moving you over to France, where they have what's called the GIF rule. And it means that, I think in a matchday squad of 23, I think something like 17 or 18, it's around that high teens figure, have to be French qualified players. And as a result, in this position which England find very difficult to fill, and think back to those Welsh regions, you've got Nick Tompkins and Joe Hawkins that are going to be paid by English clubs. The Welsh regions can find space and money for Mason Grady, for Kieran Williams, and 2 other young 12s that can come through. In France, where they have to have a large number of French qualified players in their squad, a difficult position I've talked about this position in general. It's a difficult one to fill. And you have so many Frenchmen starting. These are kind of the first choice 12s in their position. I've gone off again what the selections were in the recent Champions Cup games and in the big league games. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, in the case of Fernandez, he is born Spanish but French qualified. So we're making it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 out of the 14 clubs have players in the 12 position who could be called upon by the national team. And that league is going great guns. And a bunch of them are internationals either in the squad right now. In the case of the La Rochelle guy, for example, is in the squad. And in the case of some players like Dumaru, have been in the French team before. So it's just stacked. And that is the same in every single position on the park when you go through French domestic leagues. So I just thought it was worth getting you thinking that it might not be as bad as all that for Wales if the 60 cap rule goes. Some of the international players go and get paid to play not far away, is it? I mean, if you were playing in Bath or Bristol, you're just across the Severn Bridge. Admittedly, you won't get as much time with the national squad on these down weeks. You'd have to go back to your club. But given the money is such an issue right now, and Welsh players are worried if they're going to even have a job, having other leagues pay your international players' wages so that you can spend more money back at home bringing through the next ones, I think that's overall good for Wales. And I think when I look at it in terms of the England team, there's an element of me where I go, I don't really want Exeter Chiefs to be paying Joe Hawkins wages because we really need to find English 12s. And maybe the Gallagher Premiership should look at some sort of quota system to make sure there are incentives to make sure there are incentives to having English qualified players in your squad. I think you get some financial bonus for EQP, it's called, but there's no rule that you have to, like there is in France. And should there be? That's a food for thought. Hopefully that just summarises the situation right now, gets you thinking about some of the bigger issues, which we can then discuss when we know exactly what the resolution is going to be. A reminder, I'm planning to be in Cardiff on Saturday, so there'll be plenty of content coming from the Principality Stadium and around. Might even go and find some Wales fans to have a chat to. In the meantime, I'd love to chat to you in the comments. I'd love for you to hit subscribe, like, share with your mates, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.